He was just the guy behind the tech support desk, invisible to most, until one crashed server, one cruel accusation, and one viral video almost destroyed him. You're just IT support. Know your place. Those words were spat at him like poison by a supervisor who mocked his skin, a coworker who sabotaged him, and a stranger who filmed his lowest moment. But what no one knew was this. He spoke 5 coding languages, and 12 years ago, he'd saved someone whose name now held global power. If you love stories where justice hits back hard, make sure you subscribe. By the end, the man they tried to humiliate will become the name no one dares forget. The hum of server fans echoed through the corporate headquarters. It was 8:42 a.m., and the first rush of IT tickets was already hitting hard. Devin adjusted his lanyard, wiped a fingerprint off his tablet, and forced a practiced smile at the next executive in line. Finance 5, P, early 50s, AirPods still in both ears. He didn't even look up when he said, "Fix my laptop, now." No explanations. Devin nodded, not because he agreed, but because that was the rule. Don't talk back, just serve. The diagnostic program hit the screen with a flash. He handed it back silently. The executive took it without a word. At Cubicle 19, nobody looked at the IT guy, only at their screens, but Devin noticed everything. He saw the intern drop her flash drive while her manager pretended not to care. He saw the security guard flirting with the white receptionist and ignoring the elderly Indian man asking for help, and he saw how his presence, his skin, his silence was either dismissed or resented. He'd worked this desk for 6 years, same polo shirt, same floor, same ignored potential. Nobody knew he had a degree in computer engineering. Nobody asked how many coding languages he spoke. And even if they did, no one believed a tech support guy with dark skin and a southern accent could speak 5 coding languages fluently: Python, Java, C++, Ruby, and Rust. But those skills didn't matter here. Here, his name was just Devin. The shrill voice broke his thoughts. Harriet, his supervisor, white, 50-something, still wore perfume strong enough to sting the eyes. She strutted behind the desk like she owned every cable in the building. "You missed a ticket from the 14th floor, Harriet snapped, pointing with a manicured finger. Devin bent down to check it silently. Harriet leaned closer. "And fix your attitude. You're slouching again. You want people thinking we hire lazy?" Devin straightened, jaw locked. The words burned because they weren't about tickets or posture. They were about everything else: skin, class, power, and the silent rule: know your place. Harriet lingered a second too long just to make sure Devin felt small. Then she turned and left, clicking away in her red heels like a metronome of quiet cruelty. From across the office, his coworker Trevor waved at a security guard. Blonde, 24, fake smile, loud. He barely touched the ticket system but always got compliments from Harriet. Always sent early for breaks. Always flirting. Always careless. Devin had covered for him more times than he could count. Still, Trevor called him background noise when he thought he couldn't hear. People like Devin are born for this. Quiet jobs, nothing visible. He heard. He always heard. It didn't matter. Devin had learned long ago that invisibility was safer than fighting back, until today. At 9:13 a.m., the air changed. A woman in a tailored suit rushed to the desk, panic etched on her face. "The server's down. The investor presentation starts in 20 minutes. The receptionist froze. Security fumbled. Devin moved. He stepped from behind the counter, accessed her laptop, then spoke in precise technical language, soft, fluid, expert. The woman gasped in relief. Devin diagnosed the issue, implemented a complex workaround, restored her access, and explained the steps to prevent future crashes. The woman clutched Devin's hand when it was over. Thank you. You're a lifesaver. Devin just smiled. Darien. That last phrase, a whisper in French, meant nothing to most, but not to her. From a leather chair near the elevator bank, a woman looked up, white blouse rolled at the sleeves, sleek ponytail, sharp jawline. She'd been scrolling through news headlines on her phone, earbuds in. But that voice had sliced through the noise. Natalie Parker, 31, award-winning tech documentary producer. Her next project, The Invisible Innovators, Unseen Genius in Corporate America. She stood slowly, watching him. He didn't notice. He'd already gone back behind the counter, quiet, calm. But she remembered that voice, that phrasing, that tone. She'd heard it 12 years ago in a Boston University lab from a 16-year-old boy who helped a frightened freshman debug her code. He had said, "Darien," the same way, and she'd never forgotten. The office felt like a pressurized box of impatience. Devin wiped his screen again, though it was already clean. His fingers moved out of habit, but his eyes scanned the crowd. The woman he helped earlier had already disappeared, escorted by an executive who now avoided looking his way, as if crediting the IT guy for anything would disrupt some natural order. But then came the voice. "I'm sorry. Does anyone understand this error code?" The air snapped. A man in a gray suit clutched his laptop in one hand and a presentation clicker in the other. His forehead glistened with sweat. Next to him, a junior analyst tugged his sleeve, whispering urgently. He looked around wildly, trying to speak to the staff. No one responded. The receptionist tapped her keyboard and waved him off without a word. Devin was already moving. "I can help," he said softly. The man turned, stunned. "Thank God." Devin's voice shifted like silk, smooth, calm, precise. He switched between technical terms with native ease, his fingers flying across the keyboard. A technician wasn't supposed to carry authority, but Devin wasn't supposed to be just IT support either. He reached for his admin access and implemented an emergency protocol. "This is employee 45219. We have a priority executive at floor 19 in need of urgent technical assistance." The guard blinked. "You're just a—" Devin didn't even look at him. He had locked eyes with the man's assistant instead. "Don't worry," he whispered. "Don't be afraid." Moments later, two senior IT staff members jogged over. Devin explained rapidly, not missing a beat. The presentation had been corrupted by a recent security patch, a known issue in the system. 5 minutes later, the presentation was restored. The executive burst into relief. The assistant kept repeating, "Thank you, thank you." Devin nodded politely, then turned to leave. But before he could walk away, the executive grabbed his hand and shook it firmly. "You are the only one who actually helped," he said with genuine gratitude. Devin's smile faltered. He bowed slightly, responding gently. "Darien," he spoke with elegance. From the corner of the lobby, Natalie Parker stood frozen. She didn't know his name, but she knew that voice. 12 years ago, lost in a coding lab, afraid and alone, she'd heard that same phrase from a boy with steady eyes and calm hands. And now here he was, in a company-issued polo shirt, saving executives while others stood still. She watched him walk back behind the counter, unnoticed by almost everyone except one person, Harriet. The supervisor's mouth twitched. Her eyes scanned the executives who were still thanking Devin, and she didn't like it. That night in the break room, he sat staring at his phone screen. 3 years ago, he'd applied to a master's program in cybersecurity. 3 times rejected because his resume didn't show field experience, because they couldn't see past the job title. He scrolled again. The rejection still sat in his inbox, unread, still stinging. He looked at his reflection in the metal locker. worn shoes, company polo, but steady eyes. He whispered to himself, 5 languages, 6 years, still here. What he didn't know was that Natalie wasn't leaving the building. She had a call to make. The next morning, the air at cubicle 19 felt charged. Harriet stood by the desk, tablet in hand, lips thin and tight. Her heels clicked across the tile like threats. "You're late," she said flatly. Devin checked his watch. 7:58 a.m. I'm scheduled at 8. Exactly. Harriet turned away without waiting for a response. Behind the server rack, Trevor leaned in with a coffee cup and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "She's in one of those moods," he whispered. "You might want to keep your head down today, Dev." Devin didn't respond. He grabbed his badge, clipped it with mechanical precision, and slipped into his usual rhythm, but he felt it. Eyes whispered, tones, the stiffness in his coworker's shoulders. The silence that wasn't just morning fatigue, it was loaded. Something had shifted overnight. Devin didn't know yet that a video had been uploaded around 2 a.m. 38 seconds, shaky phone camera, titled I. T-guy freaks out at female exec, gets schooled. The footage cuts in halfway through his interaction with the woman from yesterday. There was no context, no explanation, just him raising his voice calmly, clearly, while explaining technical details. Then a hard cut to him walking back behind the counter. Someone had layered music underneath, added subtitles, fake ones. The technical terms were mistranslated deliberately. The caption read, "Is he qualified?" By 8:10, Harriet had seen it. Devin didn't know that. Not yet. It was Trevor who started it. He walked past Devin carrying a tray of new laptops. His hip clipped the edge of a cart of networking equipment. One router wobbled, then another. Devin lunged forward, catching the first, but the second expensive device spun off the edge and crashed. It shattered across the floor, across the $900 leather briefcase of the man standing next to the counter. "I'm so sorry, sir," he said. "He did it." Trevor cut in, his voice loud. The man turned sharply. "Seriously, no, I didn't," Devin said quietly. "The cart was too close to the—" "He's lying." Trevor snapped. "He's been acting weird all morning. You've seen the video, right?" The customer pulled out his phone and started filming. "He's the guy from the video." Someone behind him muttered, "The one who yelled at that poor executive." Devin's throat clenched. He looked at Harriet for backup, but the supervisor just stood there, arms crossed. "Devin Jackson," she said, tone sharp. "Back room now." Inside the storage room, fluorescent lights buzzed. Harriet didn't sit. She didn't offer Devin a seat either. "You've embarrassed this company." "I was helping." Harriet held up her hand. "We don't need heroes. We need consistency, quiet efficiency. That video is fake." Devin said, "It's cut. It's misleading." "It doesn't matter." Harriet stepped closer. "Perception is everything." Devin swallowed, his voice lowered. "You know I didn't do anything wrong." Harriet's voice dropped lower, cooler. "Let me make something clear. You are here because we allowed you to be here. That clip, it's not what ruined your image. You did." Devin stared at her. "Is this because I fixed that server issue?" "No," Harriet smiled. "It's because you keep forgetting who you are." Devin's hands curled into fists. "Effective immediately," Harriet said. "You are reassigned to hardware inventory rotation for the next 3 weeks. Devin didn't blink. He didn't move. "Do you want to file a complaint?" Harriet asked, almost laughing. "Go ahead, but remember this. I have HR in my pocket, and you have a Twitter scandal and no real title." He was scanning an old router in the inventory closet when the knock came. A woman stood in the doorway. "Are you Devin Jackson?" she asked. "Who's asking?" She stepped forward. "Natalie Parker." Silence, but not blank silence. The kind that pulls memories out of the dark. He blinked. Wait, the tech documentarian? Her lips curled into a half smile. You remember, and I remember you. Devin's arms tensed. I've never met you, he said slowly. Not since Boston, she replied. That stopped him. I was 19, lost at MIT. I had no idea how to debug my project. Everyone ignored me until this boy appeared. He said, Darianne, like it was a lifeline. Devin stared at her. I remember, he whispered. You had a broken laptop and no backup. You remembered me? He finally asked. I remembered your voice, Natalie said. And when I heard it again yesterday, I knew. Devin shook his head. 12 years? You recognize me by one sentence? It wasn't just the words, she said. It was the way you said them. Like you didn't just speak code, you understood systems. His throat tightened. He looked away. You're cataloging outdated equipment, she said quietly. Why? Then he wiped his hands slowly on his shirt and faced her. Because I left school to take care of my brother. I applied for every development job at this company for 4 years. Because HR never called back. Because Harriet lost my file. Because Trevor sabotaged me and still got promoted. Natalie's jaw tightened. And because, he added, when you're a black man with ambition in a uniform, ambition becomes a threat. Natalie reached into her coat and pulled out a slim black folder. I'm not here to pity you, she said. I'm here because I'm building something, a documentary series, 6 parts on the invisible talent in American tech. People like you, multilingual coders, brilliant, overlooked. She handed him the folder. Inside was a project proposal, a film crew itinerary, and a single line under potential technical consultant, Devin Jackson. He looked up, startled. You already put my name here? She shrugged. I hoped I wasn't wrong. His fingers brushed the page. I don't want charity. I need you because you're better at this than anyone I've met. She said evenly. Because yesterday you solved a critical issue in seconds, and because I think you deserve the mic for once. Just then, footsteps echoed behind them. Harriet? She froze at the sight. Her face went pale. Natalie, she asked, voice high, rehearsed. I didn't know you were. I asked to speak to Mr. Jackson. Natalie cut in. Harriet's smile twitched. He's on inventory duty. There must be a mistake. No, Natalie replied. The mistake was yours and it's over. She turned back to Devin. If you want in, you have 48 hours. We fly to DC on Thursday. You'll be consulting and co-directing. Co-directing? Harriet sputtered. He speaks 5 coding languages, she said flatly. What do you code? Harriet opened her mouth, closed it, and stormed off. The documentary premiered 6 months later to critical acclaim. It opened with Devin's voice. I was never invisible. They just refused to look. The final scene showed Devin in his new office, Director of Technical Innovation, speaking to a young black intern. Don't ever hide what you know, he said, echoing the words once spoken to him. As the credits rolled, a simple message appeared. Talent isn't determined by title. Sometimes the most brilliant minds are hidden behind the help desk.